All right. Howdy, everyone. I want to do a quick walk around my studio, mainly because Mari wanted me to talk about my Warmoth Strats. There's the dog. So this is our cramped little guest room here that I have taken over. We got the futon. I'm just going to do a quick walk around, try not to bore anybody. Over here in the corner, my little Fender 1950s Champ. I had that from back in college. I bought that for like nothing. It's a collector's item now. Got my bass and my acoustic leaned up here. Oh, speaking of bass, Mari, you'll like this maybe. This is my Valentine's present from my wife. Those are Seymour Duncan pickups to put in. It's a Squire bass, and I like it. It's not the greatest, but it's mine. And it's got weak pickups, though. I measured them one time. They're a little bit light. These should be a little bit a nice upgrade for it. Looking forward to that. I also polished up the frets on the bass here a few months back. I leveled out a few of them to get the action better. So that was something I've done to the bass, but I'll be rewiring it. Got my workstation here. There's the Behringer I talked about, 4 channels, pretty good price. Headphones, thank you, Tony. They were a Christmas present. Really, really awesome. I love those things. Let's see. Pedals. Built that reverb pedal. I've had that chorus pedal forever. The Plexi Drive is awesome, but that's a loaner from my friend. I have to give that back. I have I built this green overdrive. It's Tube Screamer style, but it's actually way nicer than a Tube Screamer. I built this. It's a Boss DS1 with a lot of modifications. Just bought kits. My dad gave me the reverb. I bought these other two when I had sold some other stuff. And my Christmas present last year was this Zoom. It's got a built-in looper, built-in drum machine. So much fun. It's got speaker emulation, so I can record just with headphones and get an amp sound from it. My beautiful Marshall, 1982 Marshall JCM. I got that for an insane price, and I've just held on to it for 20 years because it's too nice to sell, but I really don't need it. But, well, we'll see. So anyway, oh, what else? I have the cheap little monitors for the studio. These are actually Tony's old speakers from back when she was in college, I guess, and my little amp from a stereo I had way back. These are my condenser mics. I have them still hooked up here. Again, they're like 20 years old. And I'll look at the model of those, Joe. I'll share with you. All they are is you unscrew and their battery. So no phantom power. You just put the battery in, like that. And plug them in. Good to go. But the Warmoth Strats. I'm sorry, I don't want to bore you guys. The Warmoth Strats. This is the first one. Let me set it here. So, no, this is the second one I made. It's got 3 Seymour Duncan quarter pounders, rosewood, fretboard, pretty standard Strat style. It's got an alder body. So when I first built it, I had a series switch here that put the pickups in series, and then master tone, master volume. I didn't like the series switch because it muddied the tone up too much, so I redid this a ways back. And now what it has is the series switch is a pull knob, and this blends the series. So you can have just a little bit of that or more. It doesn't get quite as dark with that. This pull is a neck-on switch or a Gilmore switch, whatever you want to call it. That also gets blended. That's a pretty high, I'm pretty proud of that wiring job. I'm actually working on an article maybe to be published about how I wired this. I haven't seen anybody else do what this does here. When they're all down, this is a standard 5-way. When you pull them up, you get the extra stuff. What else? I'm running the tremolo is blocked right now, so no tremolo. I did the frets. I leveled, polished, crowned, beveled. I did all that work there. Put a new nut on it. That's a nice new bone nut that I put on. So I did a lot of work on this thing, about a year and a half ago, and got it really tuned up, and I do all my own setup on stuff. It takes a lot of time, but I like doing it. So that's actually the second guitar I made. And that's the main one I'm playing right now because it's set up nicely. The first guitar I made also got torn down. Here's that one. So this was the first one. And this one was originally done up with black pick guard, all black controls and everything on there. And it had a P90. It had an old P90 in here. I didn't like that, so I took this thing all out. I want to go with a new color scheme, the tortoise pick guard, tortoise shell. And again, this has some special switching stuff. I leveled these frets. They didn't need nearly as much work. But yeah, I originally built this. This one was about 1996, probably. And I just slapped it all together and never dressed the frets, and, you know, it played okay. New bone nut that I have to finish. That's the last thing to get that all straightened up. It's got a little truss rod cover that matches with tortoise shell. And so this thing, 5-way switch. And I got to stop. I'll mess it up if I say it right now, but I have switching combinations with a push-pull here, master tone, volume. I can get these two pickups, these two pickups, or these two pickups, or this by itself, or this by itself. And I can also do all that with a coil tap on this. All that same stuff. And also when I pull this, I can also get the mid by itself. I almost never use the mid by itself. But it has all the voices of a hum single guitar with some really cool split out positions. I think some of that stuff's a little bit voodoo, but I really planned this one out carefully so that the switching, really all the voices are useful. They're all things that I would use here and there for certain things. Again, it's a custom wire job. Never saw anything quite like this one. It's not quite as involved as the dark one, but that's that. So I call this one my light Strat. The other one's the dark Strat. That's just a linseed oil finish on there. Again, rosewood, alder. It's got the string through like a telly style. It's not a Telecaster bridge, but the strings come straight through. So it's got really good sustain, rock solid tuning stability. And I really want to get this thing finished off here. All I got to do is get that nut done, and then tweak the truss rod's good. I got to tweak the intonation then. It's pretty close, but once I finish the nut, the intonation will change. And I'm hoping to get this guitar onto my Inco Almo a little bit. I don't know if it'll make it or not, but I'm hoping. And anyway, that's almost 8 minutes. That is a quick little roundup of the guest room studio, and especially a look at my guitars that, again, I love these guitars. They play better. I was shopping for guitars back in the 90s, and I couldn't justify buying anything I was playing. They just didn't quite, the ones that had the neck sound I liked didn't have the bridge sound I like. If they had the bridge sound I liked, then it just didn't work. So I built this way back, and it really got what I wanted. And then I wanted a more typical Strat look, so I built the other one too. But I really love those colors. I really love that. I had to make that white cover for the humbucker. That's a Seymour Duncan 59. This is a Seymour Duncan vintage style, and this is actually a DiMarzio class of 55. It's got a really glassy vintage 50s sound. It's really there's a lot of that stuff these days. You can't go wrong buying good reproductions of this stuff. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get that vintage kind of thing these days. But I really love the look of that. Looking forward to getting that, back in gear here. It's 99% done. But anyhow, sorry to bore you. Just thought, I was going to talk about those guitars, and I thought I would talk about the studio a little bit too real quick. Have a great day. Take care.